All right. Hello, Sophie. How are you?
Hello, my lovely. I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
Yeah. All right, everyone. This is Sophie Casey of Casey Marketing Solutions. I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce exactly what that looks like because it was like such a mystery to me when I first saw her application come in. It's some really cool stuff. I'm very excited to have her here. This is like one of the most inspirational women I've talked to recently. And I am excited to have her share her story. And we're in very different time zones here. So Sophie's in Thailand and I'm in Costa Rica. And we had some real issues like figuring out our schedule, but we're here. So welcome, Casey. And I would love it if you could take us back a little, right? From the awesome Casey that's sitting here in front of us, with like, what was it, 8, 10 years of business experience, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm hearing blinging in the background. That's horrible. Right? Have you ever had that? I'm pretty sure that's me. All right. Take us back to like when you started on this business journey and tell us a little bit how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think around about this is going like way back now. I'm gonna start at the beginning, but I can get through it quick. So back in about 2012, I decided it was time for me to leave England because I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling the rat race. I wasn't feeling all of this normal stuff. And I actually, paid off my debts and moved myself over to Spain, to Ibiza. Actually, I was a bit of a party animal, and I went over to Ibiza, and from there I continued to do like seasonal work, like hopping between like the Spanish islands, like the Balearics, then the Las Canarias, and so on. And then in one of my winters, I actually decided to come to Thailand. I wanted to travel like Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Southeast Asia, and just do something new and see what was going on. Anyway, I ended up falling in love with this little place in the north of Thailand called Pai. And I found myself a job within like 3 days. I was like, you've got to hire me. I'm going to work here no matter what. I want to work here. And I stayed and lived and worked with this Thai family for what was meant to be 3 days in Pai turned into like 7 months in Pai. And one of the nights I was working, I saw this guy working on his laptop and I was like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? And he's like, well, I just travel around and work. I can do anything I want because I work online. And he told me about it. And it was at that moment I was like, if this is the last thing I ever do, I'm going to make sure I can do that. I'm going to find a way to work online so that I can come back and live in Pi, basically. So I finished I went back to Spain after that and did my final season and then went back to England. I was like, right, you need to sort yourself out now. It's time to do something, proper. So I had done some social media work. I was a community manager for an insurance company before that. And that was like my gateway into social media. And then my friend had launched a digital marketing agency while I was actually away abroad. And she hired me in good faith, and it was great. And then I decided, I've just been like, island hopping for 4 years. And she's like, yeah, you can come work in my agency. It's fine. So I was very lucky.
Nice.
Yeah. And one of my previous jobs I'd had in England as well, he actually took me on to do the marketing for him. So without even really knowing it, I suddenly had this like marketing work. And I decided to join the Shore Academy, and with them I sat and I studied like everything, like digital marketing, social media marketing, web design, web development, graphic design, blogging and content writing, and so on. I don't know, and after not long I realized it was time to get out of England again, just because I don't know, I'm just not built for it, the cold and the stress and running around and all that stuff. So I decided to move back to Spain again, but realized I could actually do that in my, with this new client base I'd made and this business. Like, me and my friends stopped working together. We're still very close, but yeah, we just figured out it was better if we were just friends rather than working in a business like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to launch my business. So not very creative. I called it Casey Marketing Creations, thinking, Casey being like the family name kind of side of things. But what I didn't realize is so many people, like, Casey is quite a common first name. So about 80% of the time people think my first name is Casey. But I've just stuck with it. And after a while doing that, I found a new client in Spain and I was doing everything for them for like £10 an hour or something, not realizing I had to give 20% of that away to tax, and that is actually not a very good wage to give myself. But I was doing everything for them, everything that came my way. I was just taking it on and learning it as I went. So like I built my first website for free in exchange for people buying ticket sales. It was like a gay boat party, and anyone, it's still going to this day, and it's a very good form of passive income actually to this day. My team manage it for me. But like people will pay a deposit for boat party tickets, and I keep that deposit, and then they pay the rest on arrival, and it just comes in. But I just learned so much doing that. And I think it was after about 6 months of doing that again in Spain, I suddenly remembered my dream back from when I was in Thailand, and I was like, oh wait, I've got a business, I can go back to this place. Bye. And that's where I am now. This is, so we just bought this land and built this house on it over the last year. And now I have a Thai baby and husband, and yeah, so it's all come together over that period of, I don't know how many years that was, but from 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but how did you, so when you got to Thailand, right? Like, I know you told me a little bit before when we were getting to know each other about how like that business morphed, because it didn't just like your business that you started, right? I know that there were some kind of steps along the way, right? That you told me about some launches, and I'm hearing all this new stuff. This is just goes to show you that whenever you have a conversation with someone, like things always come up in different ways, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You really took us on your whole journey. Like I learned new stuff now. I was like, oh yeah, party girl. You even say the Ibiza with the th, right? Like it's the benefit Ibiza. I spent a year in Spain too, so that's why I'm like, yeah, right. That is that. Anyway, so like I love how you took us through your whole travel history and like back and forth and kind of moved around the whole world. And then you're like, oh yeah, but I have a husband, a Thai husband and a Thai baby, and I built a house on some land. That's like really awesome. And where's your business at now then, right? Like if you're looking like, hey, you started this business not really knowing kind of what it was, you kind of got some clients in, it was a little bit, right? You're like, oh, I created this product. But since then, you've taken some really deliberate steps to build the business to where it is now.
Yeah, so I was, for the first like couple of years, I moved back to Thailand. I was still working, working by the hour, not working very much, just working enough to make money to get by. And it was actually when I fell pregnant with Bua, my happy surprise baby, that I decided to get serious about my actual business. And I was like, okay, I can't just keep trading time for money, willy-nilly, because I've not, when my baby comes, I'm not going to have time to do any of this stuff. I need to get serious. So I decided to create a course, and of all the kind of things that I'd been doing as a done-for-you service, Facebook ads seemed to be a good one. So through the entire pregnancy, I like wrote and recorded this whole course. And like the day before I went into labor, I had my testers like testing it for me. And then Bua came, and then I didn't even launch my course properly, because I'd done everything wrong. Basically, I'd created a course without really doing any research, without really knowing my niche, without really understanding my target audience. I thought business owners was a niche, like not knowing like which kind of business owner, what are their pain points, what are the demographics, and it was a massive learning curve. But I never sold one copy of that. And shortly after, I decided to do a launch anyway, because I was like, come on, I've done this work here, I may as well, get in there and talk to people. And I did my first ever launch. And I think in that first month, I didn't actually have a team then or anything. And I had a 4-month-old baby, breastfeeding, co-sleeping, doing complete attachment parenting, pretty much still are now. And I basically rebuilt my entire business during that period. But the launch wasn't a success either. And at the end of it, I decided not to sell that Facebook ads course still. I completely like built this new program to sell during this course, which was all like funnels and automation, and they could have the Facebook ads course as a freebie to go with it, which is obviously not very well thought out, with everything I did. But during that launch, I basically burnt myself out as well. And that's when I actually took on my first team member, my VA Kim, who's actually still working with me now, 3 years later. But yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into things that didn't happen, but I learned a lot from it, and I was able to learn from those mistakes. And then I kind of like, after that launch, I decided to put my efforts into helping more business owners with their launches, because I'd been through the motions. I'd built myself all these like systems and tech and templates and that stuff. And I was like, well, I may as well do that now. And then I spent the next kind of year or so kind of helping more business owners with that side of things and learning and seeing what they were doing, as I came back more to what I'm doing in my business now, kind of thing.
Yeah. I love so the whole process, because like I'm going to pick a couple pieces out here. I think one of the interesting things you've mentioned is like back in the day when you were trading your time for money, right? Like that $10 an hour that you were asking, or £10 an hour, right? That you were asking, not realizing, oh yeah, I have to pay this amount in tax. And then realizing like only when you had that transition moment to like, baby, like I can't keep doing this. I think that's one of the important lessons as an entrepreneur to have, is to be aware of like, right, how much your time is actually worth, and to actually start delegating maybe before, like where you got to in this point where you like burnt yourself out during a launch trying to do like everything all by yourself, right? And learning those lessons really the hard way. I feel like you went through this process also of really coming back to it and learning yourself along the process of doing this and building out all these incredible programs. Another point in there is this test and tweak, right? Like, and never giving up, right? Like you had these programs, and I know you came back to that program, right, in the long run, but like at first it never sold, right? Like the doing this creation, not having a niche, not understanding your pain points, and just kind of doing it all wrong. And that's what you're helping people now avoid doing, is like, right, taking some of that pressure off and allowing them to do more with their time. So what I'd love to know is a little bit about, who are you working with right now, right? Because you worked with a friend, and you worked with this guy, and I'm not right. So tell us a little bit more about your clients, who you work with, and like what their pain points are, because now you know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so now I work with, well, my business has like two sides now, basically. So it's got one side, which is where I coach, so where I help, empowered business owners to do it themselves. And these are like conscious female coaches who are looking to scale their business in a sustainable way, a way without burnout, basically. It's absolutely key, or without needing a clone. And then on the other side is my agency. So my team manage most of this, obviously excluding the client contact and the more like technical aspects, which I'm still very much a big part of. And I think it's important that I still am, otherwise I won't be the best coach if I'm not still, in the trenches a little bit, with things and so on. So yeah, so on the agency side is mainly coaches and course creators. I'd say both the same, actually, both sides the same. But on the agency side, it's a lot of our work is helping people who are doing launches as well. Whereas on the coaching side, I'm kind of like trying to help them move away from doing launches by, using evergreen systems. So I think that's where the like key difference lies. It's like, I can help you do a launch, but I really want your business to be able to run and not rely on launches, so that you can make money all year round without, having to do that burnout thing.
Yeah. So the systems and automation is not right, because what I hear is you keep the personal aspects still in there, right? You're like, yeah, of course, but I still do some of the more technical stuff, and I'm still in the trenches a bit, right? And I think that's an important differentiation, because you've got people on the whole scale, right? The people want to completely automate, and the people are like, no, I'm not doing any automation, I'm doing it all myself. And you're finding that like balance in between. It's more like towards the automation scale, but still keeping that personal aspect in there, just making sure that you're using systems and processes to support in your business process, not take over the whole business completely, right? Because some people are like, AI, it's going to take over all our jobs, right? Like that's one of the aspects there. What is, and you've got, because I can hear you've got multiple income streams, right? You're like, hey, my business has 2 tracks. Like, if you were to give tips, right, like to someone who's trying to figure out multiple income streams along the way, like what would you say like is a good order to do things in? Or is it, I mean, maybe that's just a question that depends per business, but is there a particular order that you usually teach people?
I say it does depend on each business. I say, what is your biggest goal right now in your business? Like, what is your immediate goal? Like, if you've got like a group program or a membership that you really want to grow, then just go straight to that. Focus on that. You don't need to start with low ticket. Lots of people think that you have to start with low ticket, and people have to come in through a freebie, then buy something small, and then buy something more, and work their way up. But you can start at high ticket, and then if they don't want high ticket, you can downsell the other way. So it just depends on what you want right now. Like if right now in your business you need like a big cash injection, then you should try and find a way to automate people getting into your world on that level. So for example, to offer a free training that's gonna solve a problem for them, make them aware of you, and then invite them onto a call at the end where you can then sell something to them, invite them to work with you. And then obviously the same, the lower value it gets, the less contacts there is actually needed for it. So you could have completely passive growth on your membership, or you could have like low ticket sales on a course. So for example, like for me, with some of my messenger bot products, which are DIY products, these are pretty low ticket in the scheme of things. And I put the sales page of those on the back of some of my lead magnets, so that if people just find me and sign up to my freebies from anywhere, they can just purchase. And, I just get messages coming through, you have a sale, and that's completely passive, but it's only a very small amount, but it's a great way to get people into your world, so that then they join your group, they trust you because they've had some value from you, and then they learn about your other products and they can work with you more. But like I said, where they start though, it depends on what you want in your business the most now.
I love how you're just like randomly, I'm aware of most of the words you're using, but I'm like wondering if other people are like, yeah, your chat bot and the back of your lead magnet and all this stuff. And I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, a couple of years in my business, I would be like, what are you like? I don't even know the language that you're talking right now, but you're talking the language where your clients are at, which I think that's the important thing, because you told me as well, like, the clients that you work with are usually at a higher level. They're ready to scale. So they're kind of already been trying out a lot of this business stuff on their own. They've kind of gone through all that, figuring out and failing. And now you're helping them really like streamline business processes. And I love that you bring in as well, like the most people think, oh yeah, you need to start with low ticket to bring people in. And that's, that's something I learned from a coach of mine as well, was, and I did the whole math breakdown. I went super nerd on it. And I was like, okay, well, how many clients do I need for this? And how many leads do I need for that? And at the different price points. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to burn myself out if I keep doing low ticket. Because that was my first coach's perspective, was low ticket, low ticket, low ticket. And I was like, no, I'm going to burn myself out this way. Right. So that's also the perspective that people can bring in. So I like that you're bringing that. With these women that you're supporting, right? Like what would you say is the biggest pain point that you see amongst your clients?
Something that comes up a lot is that they get, a lot of people coming into their world. They're doing really great organically. They're building really good conversations and so on, but they just have nowhere to send them, or if they're on a traditional launch cohort style business model, they're having to, people come to them, but they just launched a month ago and their program's going to run for another 2 months. They're having to turn people away for 60% of the year. They're having to turn customers away. So they just like, I think a lot of it is mindset shift on like, thinking that you have to launch, thinking that, like you said, you have to do low ticket, thinking that you have to do something a certain way. And a lot of it is just the lack of belief that they can do it that way and they can do it themselves, or the only 7-figure businesses have funnels like this. No, you need to have a system like this to be able to scale to 7 figures. Otherwise, you're going to need clones, you're going to burn out. You can't, if you spend all your day, like think about like a lot, what most coaches do before they have these systems is they send out cold DMs all day long, and maybe 1 in 10 of these DMs will turn into a call, and maybe 3 or I don't know, between 2 and 5 of them, depending on how good you are at sales, of those calls might turn into a sale. But you're looking at 200 messages, 200 DMs to get a sale, and I couldn't do it. I can't do it that way. I need I need time to do the work in my business. I need to not have my phone on me in the evening when I'm with my son. I need to I need my boundaries. And I think this is where a lot of the coaches struggle, because they're just constantly, on the DMs, morning, noon, night, while they're eating their dinner, their phone's pinging, and just need a way to a different way of growing.
So I hear, like, besides the pain as well, like that you're just like nonstop doing all this stuff yourself. It's one of the business lessons I want to pull out of this is boundaries, right? Like healthy boundaries. Like wherever you are in business, and like, because people think boundaries is a one-time thing, right? But to bring back in like, hey, what do I want to create with my life? Because like you said, like I don't want to have my phone on me in the evening when I'm with my son, right? Important boundary in that. Like also, how many messages do you want? Like I know I went through a phase a while ago where I had complete social media fatigue. I didn't even want to like look at my phone, because just the idea of going on social media and jumping in the DMs was just like, I don't even want to deal with it. Right. So I think also making sure that you stay connected to and enjoying your business as part of this process. Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I'm curious as to like, what are your future plans? You know, if it's a secret, you can tell, like, you can just be like, no, I'm not going to do that yet.
Future plans inside my business,
Your,
or do you
yeah,
mean
yeah, in
like...
your business. Well, also you could say like, hey, I want to take over the world. That's also fine.
Yeah.
But I was, yeah, your business, but also like if you have any other cool plans, like building another house or moving to another country, like, I'd love to know.
Yeah, well, my next personal plan is building a pool out there, and then it's building an office for me here, because this is currently my living room. But yeah, one step at a time. But yeah, in my business, like this, my signature program, I would eventually like this to be high ticket, like really high ticket, but I want it to have everything in there, like absolutely everything. And more kind of like a membership, so that this is the only thing I'm doing. Like I love my agency and the agency work, but I kind of wish I could put just, you know, more time into just this program at the moment. But it's, I don't know, I've got a lot of clients that I've worked with for like 3 years plus, and I'm not, you know, going to be like dropping them, dropping them anytime soon, because I love working with them for a start and so on. But yeah, my future plans are definitely just moving towards like my signature program.
Yeah.
So that I can just focus 100% on that. And then my only kind of like work would be, you know, obviously visibility and promotion and so on, and then delivering that rather than, yeah.
Cool plans. Cool plans. So if you were to like give a tip to someone who's like, you know, on the path to where you are going to be in your business, right? Like obviously different types of businesses, but if you were to look back at like the you a few years ago, what tip would you give her? Let's put it that way. Like
the most life-changing piece of advice I ever received was about growing, you know, creating a team. I was in that catch-22 for so long. I was like, I need more money to pay for a team, but I can't get more money because I don't have the support from a team, you know, especially while I'm a mom. I've only got a few hours, you know, 2 or 3 hours per day to like run my entire business. And yeah, so build a team is the biggest thing. But what I would say is, if in your business you're not making a lot of money right now, you don't need to hire someone from the US. You don't need to hire someone from the UK. A lot of my team are based Eastern. They're based in the Philippines, India, and so like here where I live in Pi, the local workers will work for a full 9-hour day in a field for 200 baht. That's £5 for 9 hours.
Yeah.
And the ones that have trained themselves online to work, you can pay them something as small as like something like $10 an hour would change their life. They would literally change their life. They could pay for their family to go to the hospital. They can pay for their children's education. It's life-changing, and they're amazing workers. You know, you can find the person who's skilled and exactly what you need them to be, and they will stay with you and they will grow with you, and you can pay them more as your business makes more. So, you know, if your business is at that point where it's like, I'm not making enough money to pay someone, you don't need to be, you know, paying for Western wages. Grow a team within what you can afford, and then they'll grow with you as well.
Yeah, and to get yourself, like, use that as a strategy to get yourself out of that catch-22, right? That I need more money to pay a team, but I can't, you know, I don't have the time and the resources to do that. So I love that. Yeah, building that team to support you in that process, and to look out. I guess it's like looking outside your traditional box or your comfort zone as well, right? Like hiring someone in the world that you're in, or giving someone else a chance, right? Like I also have an assistant in the Philippines, and that makes all the difference. Those salaries make all the difference to people, and how much they can do and create. And it's, you know, what I like about the working with a team is that, you know, you're supporting people, right? I mean, you've got Google ads and Facebook ads and everything, but they were kind of supporting like all the big conglomerates, right? By pouring money into that. And I like to think of it like, hey, I'm supporting an actual person, an actual family to develop themselves along the way.
Yeah. And that's so lovely as well.
Yeah, it's a great learning experience too, I found, anyway, working with people and, you know, different, I don't know how that's been for you, but like working with different cultures and developing skills as a leader and training a team is not something that like, oh, when you decide to, I'm a transition from, well, whatever kind of job you were, I was doing management stuff, but if you haven't been doing that, like I noticed there's a lot of personal growth that comes along with training and supporting other people and really stepping into that manager role instead of just the, you know, the one person entity. And running a team is like, that's already kind of like you're taking yourself up a level.
Yeah, for sure. I remember how nervous I was, but before when I did my first interview, you know, I was probably more nervous than her. It's a big change, isn't it? And yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, this is so exciting. All right. We could keep talking. I think this is a great point to round off the interview. You've given some amazing tips. I love the insight into your whole business process and where you are and how you're making, at least this was for me the first impression I had as well, making something that can be quite technical, right? Like systems and processing, and making it very accessible for people and really taking it down a level. Hey, step at a time, right? How you're going through process and really optimizing your time, working with what you have, building a team, right? I love that it's like this whole package that you're like giving people. And I like that. So it makes total sense that your next step is like, hey, I'm going to work on my signature system more. Makes perfect sense. And I know that for the people who are watching, Sophie has a special gift to give us.
Yes.
Did you want to say that, or we can put it in the links, right?
Yeah, okay, sure. So earlier when I was talking about lead magnets, I do just want to cover this because I know actually some people in my program aren't actually that advanced. There are a couple that I've just created a new glossary as well. Um, but yeah, so a lead magnet or a freebie is just when you offer someone something for free in exchange for their email address. And lots of people do this in a very manual way. You know, they'll offer something to someone and spend lots of time in messages, and you know, inviting people onto the call is manual, and inviting them to their groups is manual processes. So basically what I'm going to give you guys for absolutely free is, it's called Lead Magnet Bot in a Box. And what it is, it's a plug and play lead magnet funnel template that it will go onto your Instagram account and your Facebook page, so that and it's got videos, like very small step-by-step videos of every single step of the way. There's a content plan in there. You just fill out the content plan, you copy and paste it into the boxes, and it generates it all for you. And what happens is, when you post on Instagram, if people comment with specific words, or if they reply to your story, or if they send your page or Instagram account a message, your bot, your messenger, is automatically going to send them your freebie. Later, it's going to ask them for feedback. It's going to invite them to your group or to follow your podcast. And eventually it's going to book them onto a call. It's all in there. And there in every lesson, there is a help and a feedback button. So if you do need help, it will come straight through to me and I'll be able to support you as well. And yeah, I just wanted to gift that to you guys.
Oh, that's so exciting. I haven't done any bot work yet, so I'm going to definitely make use of it. Thank you so much, Sophie. That's a really generous gift. And I think it's, you know, the way that you've explained it also, like it's a step-by-step process, right? I mean, like you were talking really fast, it's a step-by-step process, help automate just a little chunk of your business right here. So I love that. It's a great entry point for people to see as well, like that maybe some of the technical aspects aren't as hard as we think they are, and that there's help along the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, when you asked me before about my biggest tip, so that was like my biggest business tip, and my biggest tip in terms of like automation and funnels and scaling is, well, it's kind of like two parts, but like never ever have build a funnel on your to-do list because it's never even going to get started. And Rome wasn't built in a day. Just always start with the tiniest thing you can automate, and you can build on it there as well.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good one. All right. Thank you so much for coming on today. And I'm really grateful, and I'm gonna be following you too for all these tips.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.